There are some new targets that the Thunder should consider going after from the Milwaukee Bucks, and that's Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, and Khris Middleton, as they have made it known that they are willing to trade every single one of those guys. But the catcher is they want a competitive piece now. That's the thing that could limit the Thunder from making this trade. But I do think there are some players on that team that OKC could end up trading for because of all the picks that they have and be like, look, we can't give you a true win now piece. Like, okay, just here, this guy fits better for our system and he fits better for your system. I don't think a trade like that's possible, but it could be one of those things like, look, here's a young guy. Here's another young guy. Here's a first round pick and a second round pick for so-and-so. Boom, take this trade. You guys can compete in the East next year, and we can compete now and next year as well. I think something like that, and knowing Presti, his opportunity of fleecing other GMs in the league, when you look at his track record of the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade, a bunch of other trades that he's done on draft night and before the deadline as well, I think he could fleece a team like the Milwaukee Bucks into getting guys like Bobby Portis, Khris Middleton, and Pat Connaughton. But the question remains is which one of those three guys should be priority number one, and is it likely? I'm going to break down all three of the guys, list them, my third option, my second option, then my first option for a trade, and then also go into, is it really possible to go after these guys? We're going to break it all down here on Thunder Digest today. Before we get into all of that, though, as always, around 69% of you guys that are watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel. If you guys love the content that we're putting out here and you want to support, the best way to do so is just by hitting that subscribe button. It's really easy, simple to do. With that out of the way, let's go ahead, get into today's topic here on the channel. Sorry, it's been a long day, worn out, okay, but we're still going to deliver for you guys. So first off, where I saw this, all right, it was from ESPN. They reported on it, but the Dunk Central tweeted it first. Milwaukee Bucks have made Khris Middleton, Bobby Portis available on the trade market per Windhorse ESPN. The Bucks have been active this trade season, sources said, with Khris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and Pat Connaughton all expected to be available, and potential moves to bring back an impact player. Keyword there, impact player, all right? They want someone now that's going to make an impact for this team. Can the Thunder offer something up like that, in reality? Potentially. If they view Kenrich Williams as an impact player, I could see that. I know we are on the fence about Isaiah Joe. If you can get someone that's better than him, definitely go after and get him. Like we've mentioned, Cameron Johnson. These guys, it gets a little bit tricky, though, because you have to come to the discussion, is Bobby Portis better than Isaiah Joe for the system? That's a really tricky discussion. Khris Middleton, same thing. Is he better than Isaiah Joe for the system? Pat Connaughton. You have to keep all that in mind. So it gets tricky, but Kenrich Williams and like Ousmane Dieng would be the guys mainly on the chopping block for these trades. Now, let's get into my guys that are like third, second, and first option. For the first option, or not first option, third option for a trade right now, Khris Middleton. You'll look at the stats and be like, look, he's doing solid numbers. He's a vet, has championship experience. We get that. 12 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. Honestly, solid stats, a steal a game. Not bad whatsoever. 48% from the field, 37% from 3. Really solid guy, all right? I'm not going to, deny that. He's a solid, like, third or fourth scoring option on a team. The problem, though, is the contract. That's the big problem when you look at Khris Middleton. His contract, he's just making way too much money for a trade for Khris Middleton to even be realistic. Just going to throw that out there. I don't think this is going to happen one bit. Khris Middleton should not be on the Oklahoma City Thunder's radar whatsoever when you just look at contract-wise, fit-wise. I just don't think it would work out. I truly don't believe that. But the other two guys, Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis, that's where it gets a little bit interesting. So let's go into our next guy here with who I got up next. Boom, right here. It's going to be Pat Connaughton. All right. He's solid. 4.5 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. All right. He gets the job done as like a backup point guard. No denying that whatsoever. Not a great 3-point shooter, though, is what really hinders him when I look at him. 28% from 3, 40% from the field. 32 years old. He has that experience. He has that playoff experience. Okay. It's just the shooting numbers are not up to par for what we want with a backup point guard in the playoffs. This is not what the Thunder are looking for right here. Now, contract-wise and everything, he could work. It probably costs less to go get Pat Connaughton. I know people are worried about a backup point guard now with AJ Mitchell possibly not even playing in the playoffs, and he was doing very well for the Thunder. So I know that's a concern, and he would fill that role of a backup point guard, but you also have to keep in mind, Isaiah Hartenstein's about to come back. Dort is, he's injured. I don't know if he's actually injured or not. He's taking a day off against the Trailblazers, which no big deal. Hartenstein's now back. Chet's about to be back. All these guys are about to be back. Ousmane Dieng, when he's been playing, he's looked very solid out there. Brandon Carlson, he's looked very solid. Aaron Wiggins has been playing well. And I think, fully healthy, Cason Wallace probably gets moved to the bench. And he's then that backup point guard. And that was the original plan all along, I believe so, was Cason Wallace to be the backup point guard. He's been playing very well as a starter, but if Hartenstein is playing so well with Chet Holmgren and you want a double big lineup, you're going to have to move Cason Wallace to bench. You're not going to tell Lou Dort to go to the bench. You're not going to tell Jalen Williams to go to the bench. No. You end up moving Cason Wallace there because that'd be best for the team. So Pat Connaughton, I think it could be a reality, but I just don't think the shooting is there for Oklahoma City to truly consider it. Now, option number one, in my opinion, I think this should be option number one for every Thunder fan between these three guys, is Bobby Portis. I mean, look at the stats right there. 13 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, all right? Defensively, he could be better. I will go ahead and say that defensively, he could be better, but offensively, very solid player. And his size at 6'10" brings a ton right there with 8 rebounds a game, 46% from the field, 36% from three for his size, and as a power forward, we'll take that. 39% on corner threes. 96% of his threes are assisted. 29% of all his shots are three-pointers. He's not taking a lot of threes, but when he does take them, he is making them. 36% clip right there. And he's 29 years old, right in the prime of his career, has that championship experience, has that playoff experience that the Thunder are looking for. And the best part about it, he is cheaper to get than all those guys, and honestly could probably do the same role as Cameron Johnson for a cheaper contract. He's only making $13 million a year right now. He has a player option after this season, and then that's it. He's done. It's not going to affect anything for long-term contract goals. He has a player option the same year. Isaiah Hartenstein has a team option. So you can, or not, I misread that. Next season, it's a player option like, okay, going this offseason, he can decide, do I want to stay with the team or do I want to test the water in free agency and go somewhere else and try to make more money? I don't know what he would decide to do, but I do like the odds of OKC trying to convince somebody like, look, stay here, get another ring. You could potentially make more after the season afterwards and then be off somewhere else. It's not going to affect anything long-term contract-wise, and I do think it helps out the Thunder trying to win a championship. I think him and Cameron Johnson are around the same level. They'd have the same role for the Thunder. He's a slightly better defender, in my opinion. He's a better rebounder, all right? Not the same level of shooting-wise, but he can still go out there and get you a bucket if needed. He could easily be thrown into a starting four. You move Hartenstein to the bench in that case, in Cason Wallace is the backup point guard in that scenario right there. A lot of options that you can do with Bobby Portis. He could even come off the bench if needed. He's just a very versatile player. I think this would be a great trade for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And if, sorry for the voice crack there, but like I mentioned, if Milwaukee is serious about moving these guys, I think Presti needs to try to consider making a trade for Bobby Portis to be like, look, we can give you Kenrich Williams, Ousmane Dieng, and a first-round pick. You guys then can compete next year, be even better because you guys have fallen off a little bit. We get that. He's not really fitting with you guys. Ousmane Dieng's a young guy that you could potentially not build around, but develop and be like, okay, this guy can play. It works out for both squads. I think Presti can truly get a deal done for Bobby Portis, and I think he needs to try that, okay? That's my little list, though, for, in order of 3, 2, and 1, which targets they should go after from the Milwaukee Bucks. And it was something that we talked about over the summer as well when they made Bobby Portis available originally for a trade. I do think Bobby Portis would be a great addition to the team. He's cheaper to trade for. Realistically, you could do a straight-up Isaiah Joe for Bobby Portis trade if you wanted to. I don't think that'd be smart on that end because I think they're very similar players. And I think Isaiah Joe's starting to carve himself out a role for this team. It's just interesting to see. It's difficult, all right? It's very difficult to kind of look at and be like, looking at trade packages like, okay, what exactly do we give up? Especially if the Bucks are looking for an impact player right now. It's very interesting to see. Kenrich Williams could be an impact player. He might play very well in Milwaukee. That kind of system that they have going on over there, he might fit in very well. And then so they might end up taking that deal because of that. But that's my list right there. Let me know what you guys personally think about any of 3 of those guys. If you disagree with my list or if you're still part of that crowd that looks like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. My thing is, if you can improve a player with someone else, you need to go out there and do it. And Bobby Portis, with his play style and what he brings to the table, I think he'd be a seamless fit into Oklahoma City. That's all I got for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.